passport today and you can win big. Just look out for the Kubuli crew at Promotions Island-wide.
Get ready for landing. Thank you for flying with Kubuli. For more Kubuli passport excitement, join us at Bernard's Bar, Castle Bruce on Friday, 23rd September. Bems in Grand Bay, Saturday, 24th September. And Estelle and Blair in Vegas, Friday, 30th September. Get your passports and fly with Kubuli to win big.
Must be 18 and over to participate. Drink responsibly.
Straight off the jumbo jet. Hey, straight off the jumbo jet. Hey, straight off the jumbo jet. Hey, straight off the jumbo jet.
The highly anticipated return of the world's greatest Creole cultural interaction. The 19th World Creole Music Festival explodes at the Wings of Export Stadium on the Creole Mecca Rosa, October 20th, 29th and 30th, 2016. On Friday, October 20th, 8 p.m., the government of Dominica and Discover Dominica Authority present Zouk Mega Stars Le Gamisha Zouk. Also Nigerian Afrobeat sensation Timaya. Also Jamaican dancehall Crown Prince Popcorn.
Say me overdo.
Not forgetting Kings of Kadal's Lips of Music Midnight Groovers. And the Bouyo Legends, original Bouyo Pioneers. Not forgetting Compa Hitmakers Criolla. And the Bouyo MVPs, Triple K International.
When I come in the jam, all I want is woman.
Nightly tickets 120 EC. Season tickets 325 EC. 3 nights of pulsating rhythms and nostalgic Creole experience. Dominica's World Creole Music Festival where people meet. C'est Musicano. This advert was brought to you with the kind compliments of Digicel, the extraordinary network.
All right, Dominica will continue to monitor the storm. Of course, the Jollies program coming up in just about, let's say, 5 minutes time, right here on Q. This is the information station. We'll continue to monitor the weather. I just got information there from St. Lucia that offices have been advised to close at 12 o'clock. I'm trying to have some conversation with government officials to find out just what is going on here, and we will bring you the information and update as soon as it becomes available. Health Talk coming up in the next few minutes. Stay tuned to your information station, Q95 FM, and we'll bring you all the updates as they continue to come in.
Building your home is an expensive venture and a lifetime investment. Therefore, you want to be sure that your builders are quick, reliable, efficient, and competent. That's why you must call the professionals at Progressive Construction. We specialize in all concrete works, tiling, plumbing, electricals, and carpentry. We also do retaining walls, guttering, and roof power washing. Yes, we offer the whole works. Kisa ou dila ou ja build? Renovate ou ka renovate? We do that as well. Même si c'est à la porte ou ka mette, nou ka fè ça aussi. With Progressive Construction, no job is too big or too small. We can do it all. Call us today at 448-6980 or 613-3176. Or better yet, email us at roywil18@hotmail.com. That's ROYWIL18@hotmail.com. Progressive Construction. You dream it. We build it.
pas une image. Elle a fermé les yeux, elle s'est approchée. Et je me suis penché, on s'est embrassé. L'image du soleil brillait dans ma tête. Elle allait, elle venait comme bon lui semblait. C'est certainement pour ça que je pensais voler. Pour soigner mes blessures, elle a posé ses lèvres. Après ça, le bonheur avait cet air-là. Mi amor, c'est l'amour. Je me suis demandé d'où venait cette image. Yeah, yeah. L'ange devant mes yeux n'était pas une image. Elle a fermé les yeux, elle s'est approchée. Et je me suis penché, on s'est embrassé. L'image du soleil brillait dans ma tête. Elle allait, elle venait comme bon lui semblait. C'est certainement pour ça que je pensais voler. Pour soigner mes blessures, elle a posé ses lèvres. Après ça, le bonheur avait cet air-là. Mi amor, ay, amor, ay, amor, mi amor, ay, amor, ay.
This episode of Health Vibes is brought to you by the brand you trust the most, Jolly's Pharmacy Limited, leading the way in healthcare.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollys.dm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollys.dm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollys.dm features rush delivery 1 hour, in-store pickup, regular delivery 5 p.m. Cut-off time 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollys.dm. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Jolly's Pharmacy presents a new and innovative radio program, Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Every Wednesday morning on Q95 FM. Health Vibes, hosted by Carlton Lando and Pearl Fontaine Butler. Health Vibes from 10:15 to 11 a.m. It's not just your average talk show. It's appealing and educational with a bit of humor. Real vibes on your health. Now that's the vibe. Health Vibes on Q95. Every Wednesday from 10:15 to 11 a.m. with Pearl and Carlton. Tune in.
Welcome to Health Vibes, Dominica's most foremost program on health, medicine, nutrition, and wellness, featuring the latest news on conventional and alternative medicine and healthcare. Now here's your host, Carlton Lando, and co-host, Pearl Fontaine Butler.
Good morning to you, Dominica, and to all our listeners throughout the Caribbean and the wider world. We are so happy to be connecting with you on another episode of Health Vibes. We know that we are in a storm period, and the advisories have been out. We do hope that everyone is taking precaution and adhering to the information that is being given by the authorities. Today, we know that many children are at home, and some way, somehow, might be enjoying this weather. We are admonishing students or children to venture not outside and go and explore what's happening, but rather stay indoors and be safe. Today we have a very, very good show, Pearl.
That's right.
Though that, the weather is not the best today and people are a bit apprehensive and concerned,
yet still we felt, you know, that we should continue the show today. And so we're very happy to be connecting with you. Pearl, good morning, my darling.
Good morning, Carlton. Well, usually, you know, Carlton will always commend me on my dressing, but today he looks like this Englishman who just came off a flight with his Kangol and his corduroy jacket. So Carlton is looking very spiffy this morning. Good morning to you, Dominica. Today, you know, well, over the past few weeks, we've sought to bring you relevant topics, you know, which speak to some of what a lot of what Dominicans are battling with, from cancer to Alzheimer's, lupus. I mean, we've had some good, really great topics and really great people in studio. And this morning in particular, we'll be speaking with the president of the Sickle Cell Foundation, Kellen George, and also Nurse Fiona Harris Glenville, who are both in studio with us. So good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Well, I'm well.
I am well.
Well, today we'll be speaking about the sickle cell disease, which many Dominicans do battle with. And I mean, sometimes if we don't have these kinds of programs, Carlton, I don't think we'll realize what is happening around us to so many of us. You know?
I mean, Pearl, you met with me this morning and you were telling me an experience you had with a listener last week who was so touched by the show on Alzheimer's,
right,
and how, you know, she taking care of a relative who suffers with that disease, how much psychologically and emotionally it takes a toll on the caregiver.
Right, and this is what I'm saying. If we don't have these conversations, we'll never know. And this is my one of my teachers from grade 7, Miss Williams, and she met me yesterday and she said, Pearl, I cried. I literally cried throughout the entire show because I know what I'm going through, and it's true. Everything that you all spoke about, everything that was said is very true, because she is looking after her mother who suffers with Alzheimer's.
Well, I mean, one of the objectives of our show is really to give hope and to give interventions and new ways of doing things, and to lend support to people who might be going through, you know, whatever struggle, challenge that may afflict them from time to time. And so that's what we do, to give encouragement. And I think sickle cell is one of the timely chronic diseases that we've not covered, and we're extremely happy to have members from the Sickle Cell Foundation. I think there's so many foundations that are being set up in Dominica to lend support, and so we're very happy to have you ladies on Health Vibes. We want to start with an overview, and I maybe want the nurse maybe to start with, you know, what is really sickle cell anemia? You know, we've heard of it. Many people say they have a trait of sickle cell. You know, just give us a little synopsis, in a nutshell, what it is.
Okay, thank you, Carlton. I'm happy to be here this morning. Sickle cell anemia is a disease that is inherited. So you could get it because your mother or your father has a trait of the sickle cell gene. So it's a genetic condition. And what it causes is that it allows your blood to be shaped in, your red blood cells to be shaped in a moon-shaped,
like a crescent moon.
Like a crescent moon, right? So it has difficulty passing through the blood vessels. So in a lot of cases, you have them having difficulties with healing, also having difficulties with their different organs and stuff. So it is a condition that is, you'll always have it. It's a chronic condition, and because of all of the different complications that it can cause, it is a very important condition for us, especially for us as Black people, because it is very prevalent among the Black people.
And I'm glad that you said that, because even research have shown that it's prevalent among Africans, Caribbean descents, Middle Eastern, Mediterraneans, and even Asians. And I didn't realize that Asians were as well susceptible or prone to sickle cell anemia. You know, the scope seemed to be a bit, the demographics seem to be a bit broadening. In terms of statistics, like how many people in Dominica suffer with sickle cell anemia at present? I don't know, the president would be able to to just in terms of broadly speaking?
Internally, our statistics are currently at 3,000 persons being affected by sickle cell disease.
On Dominica?
In Dominica.
3,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I guess it's not really a health priority to some people, but it needs to be considered because of the potential for comorbidities. Once you have sickle cell, there's a potential that it may affect any other body system or body organ. So that person is constantly living with that struggle, that fear, and having to take care of themselves. So it's quite difficult, and we need to bring more awareness to it. That's what I think.
I just want to add that we must realize that we are all affected by the disease. Even if we do not have the disease, we have family and friends who are affected, and whatever is going on with them will affect us. So at the end of the day, everybody has to take a part into managing the disease.
I like this. I like the approach that you've channeled the information into that. It becomes encompassing, that it can be a mom, it can be a sister, your brother who is suffering. And one of the things about diseases is that it means that it takes a toll on the budget of the family,
right,
and so
finances.
that, yes, and the time, and
exactly.
even your whole psyche, the stress, the anxiety, the depressions that may come as byproducts of this condition, because you may have someone who may slip into a coma or crisis, and then you begin to feel that you might be losing this loved one, and the apprehension comes, and the anxiety comes, and you might even find yourself slipping in a depression where you're not eating, you're not sleeping properly. So it does affect anyone and members of the family and the entire community by extension. But
I wanted to point something out, because while doing some research, I read that the sickle cell disease is a group of genetically passed down blood disorders, right? And then it goes on to say the most common type is known as sickle cell anemia. And while we're all talking about sickle cell anemia, are there any other types of sickle cell? Like, because based on this, if the common type is sickle cell anemia, obviously there are other types. And does it range from who suffers from which type, or are there different strains, like how there's different strains of HPV? I'm curious.
So sickle cell disease is a term given to the group of diseases affected by sickle cell. So it depends on the gene, the type of sickle cell gene you inherit. When you inherit the sickle cell gene, the HBSS, then you are classified as having sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
If you get HBAS, then you are classified as having sickle cell trait. And then there's HBSC, HBS, and it varies. So there's beta thalassemia, sickle cell trait, and sickle cell anemia. And but beta thalassemia and sickle cell trait are less common than sickle cell anemia. So which is why a lot of persons speak only about sickle cell anemia and not probably beta thalassemia or sickle cell trait. But we try to raise awareness that the persons with your trait or beta thalassemia still suffer, still have symptoms of sickle cell disease, and they still need to be aware and manage your disease properly.
And is sickle cell anemia the worst type to have out of those that you just mentioned?
I wouldn't say it's the worst type. It just it's a different genetic classification. So it still manifests similarly, and it still causes similar symptoms, but sickle cell disease, the type of symptoms you experience as a sickle cell patient or sickle cell individual varies from person to person. So while Nurse Glenville's trigger may be joint pain and crisis, mine may be stress and silent strokes or something else.
Wow.
So it really is very complicated, and it's individualized. So each person has a different set of complications that they develop from having this genetic disorder.
So do you think that some of the symptoms that may come on for example, you've been well, you've been doing great for the past months, and then all of a sudden you begin to feel unwell. Do you think that some of the symptoms that would give rise to you feeling unwell may be linked to your immune system? So do you, as a sickle cell patient, do you pay keener attention to your immune system versus someone who isn't?
I would say that as a chronic patient, you are more cognizant of your disease and your disease symptoms and outcomes. So you will be more aware of what affects you, what are your triggers, what causes you to get sick, and as opposed to what causes you not to get sick, what are your limitations, and what you can and cannot do. So, and with any, it's not only with sickle cell disease, with any chronic patient, they have to know what their disease is and how it manifests in their body and how their interaction with the environment affects their body and their disease. So,
you said something that stuck with me. What you can and cannot do.
Right.
So tell us what a patient who has sickle cell anemia can do, and what they cannot do and shouldn't do. So based on even your own
I would think that varies based on...
it varies based on the individual.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell any sickle cell patient that they cannot do this or that. I would advocate for them, tell them to listen to their body and know their limits. Because a common symptom of sickle cell disease is lethargy. So you get tired. So if you push yourself beyond that limit, then you will cause further complications like crisis, or you end up in a coma, or you end up having some other complication. So I would suggest that the person knows when they're tired and stop. And if they feel dehydrated, drink some water, or
shortage of breath.
Listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you when it needs a break. So you should definitely listen to your body.
I just want to add that a sickle cell patient can live a normal life. And normal, I mean normal according to them. So they can do exercise and do the same things that other people do, but within limits. And like Kellyn was saying, that you need to listen to your body and know at which point your limit is. So because sicklers have the disease from since they are born, by the time they grow up, they should have learned how to manage with their disease and how to do certain activities based on their limitations.
Okay, so Kellyn, from your own experience, as a child, did you suffer a lot with the disease, or as you grew older, did it manifest, or what's your experience been?
I think in the first few years, it was very difficult for my parents and for me, learning how to manage. Then during adolescence and as a young child, I was very okay, because we had developed a good control of it. And then when I became a young adult, then I learned that stress is another trigger for me. So then I became aware of further complications from being in stressful situations. But it's something that you have to learn how to manage.
Okay.
So if you're not aware.
But as a child, though, suffering and having parents not know what, I mean, now that you're an adult and now that you know how to control it, what are some of the things that parents can look out for? What are some of the triggers that is water something that is mandatory that you drink? I mean, I know some people may get dehydrated very quickly if they suffer from sickle cell. So what are some of the things that you can tell parents who may have children who are suffering with sickle
I definitely would encourage parents to make sure their children are adequately hydrated. So drink as much water as possible, because it makes your bloodstream more fluid, so it avoids your cells sticking together, especially at the joints. So I advocate for drinking lots of water, getting the necessary rest, eating well, exercise, because a healthy lifestyle will promote better health if you have a chronic disease.
Nurse, would you like to add to that?
Okay, I just want to say that the support is important for the children and also for the parents, because having a child going through that, it really hurts you as a parent. And you need the support. So a lot of times we tend to not let people know that we are going through things, but even as parents, we need assistance also at times. So talk to somebody and get the support that you need to go through that situation.
Do you think that the diagnosis of sickle cell anemia should be a secret? You should feel ashamed? I mean, we do know that everyone has the right, whether they want to disclose their illness or their condition or not. But do you think, as members of the foundation, as advocates, as educators of the disease, do you think that people who are sufferers right now or have been diagnosed with this condition should, shun themselves and not let anyone know that they are a sufferer of this condition?
No, like I said, they need the support. And even the ones of us who do not suffer from the disease, many of us have the trait. So we may have the trait and not know. So that means that we also are affected by sickle cell. And giving support to others is what is important with that disease, because it can be very debilitating sometimes when you let it go, you don't take care of yourself and stuff like that. So having the support of others can help you to take care of yourself, because a lot of times people may fall somewhere and you don't know what is happening with them, and if they've told others, then somebody would be able to help.
True.
Now, with this disease, as Carlton just asked you that question, were there any challenges or are there any stigmas attached? Because sometimes other children may say, I don't want to play with you because you're sick, that kind of thing. Are there any stigmas attached to having sickle cell?
There are, because sometimes you find that with sicklers, they have that sore. Remember I said that it's the difficulty in healing. So I've seen sicklers who've had wounds that have taken a lot of time to heal, and they have been stigmatized because of that. Also the fact that they're always sick,
the colorization of the eyes.
Yes, and the outlook, sometimes you can actually see what a sickler looks like. They have their barrel chests and stuff. So a lot of times you may find that stigma.
Kellen?
I also think there used to be old stigmas that said that sicklers don't live to be very old. And that's not true. I know sicklers who live till 80s, in their 80s, their 70s, and know how to manage their health perfectly. So, which is why we try to encourage people to manage their health as best they can so that they can live natural and healthy lives. Because personally, I'll tell you from my experience, when I was younger, people used to say that a lot. Sicklers don't live to be very old. Sicklers don't live to be 20. I never expected to live beyond 18. And I was quite surprised that I could manage my disease and be healthy and do all the things that I wanted to do past that stage. And, so you learn. You grow and you learn. So we try to give as much information as possible and educate the people so that they know that, you can do whatever you want to do. You shouldn't set your limits. I read an article yesterday that said King Tut had sickle cell disease, and I shared it on my page, and I was like, he lived to be a king. He was a great leader, and he also had sickle cell disease. So you can be anything you want. You can achieve your goals. This is what I encourage people to say.
But do you think that the mere fact that in the past, people almost gave you a time limit to live in their minds, perception. Do you think that added more anxiety to clients?
It definitely adds anxiety and pressure, societal pressure, which is why I agree with Ms. Glenville on health promotion and health education. If you have the necessary knowledge, you can better manage, right? So it definitely, if you exist in a negative environment, I would encourage you to change your environment to have a more positive environment, because then it will benefit you and the way you feel. And if your mind is at peace and if you feel okay, then your body will be better for it. That's what I advocate. Even without a chronic disease, once your mind's at peace, you deal with life better. Yeah. So this is why I encourage persons to have as much information as possible and know what they're dealing with. If you don't have to listen to negative people or negative comments, You find what's right for you, what works for you, and you stick with it, and you make yourself happy.
I have a sorry, Bill. I wanted to ask you a question, and that's a question that someone asked me to ask. The foundation. Clients who have sickle cell anemia and health insurance, do they get health insurance? Are they covered? Do you feel that those clients are stigmatized because of the condition and so they're not covered? What's your? Because
often insurance companies are not willing to accept the risk, because as a patient or a person with sickle cell disease, you are guaranteed to get sick at some point, and insurance companies are not willing to pay out. They will insure healthy people who are less likely to get sick than persons who actually need the health insurance and need the extra support and health coverage, because they don't want to be liable for continued payments for health and medical issues. And you're going to have, as a sickle cell patient, you're going to have to visit your doctor frequently. You're going to have to do frequent blood tests in order to manage and know your disease. So health insurance companies are definitely not willing. So that's an added pressure on the family, because your budget is now stretched, and a portion of your budget is always going to go into medical fees and medical bills.
Just so people understand, what are some of the signs and symptoms that you can look out for, and how is the sickle cell disease diagnosed? I think that's important. That our listeners know that.
Sickle cell disease is diagnosed through a blood test. Okay. It's a simple blood test. Carlton mentioned one of the signs and symptoms of the yellowing of the eyes, jaundice. Okay. Sometimes you have jaundice, but it's an indicator that your bilirubin is low, and you need to get it checked out. Also, if like your kids, if you're watching your kids and they start slowing down if they're playing, they're extra tired, so you need to make sure you bring them in and make sure they get some rest. Labored breathing is another thing, because if you're gasping for air, that means you're not getting enough oxygen. Your blood cells are not getting enough oxygen. What else?
Okay, just a correction in terms of the bilirubin. It's when it's high. That's when you have the yellowing, and we call it jaundice. All of the symptoms associated with sickle cell are because of the difficulty to pass the blood cells through the vessels. So because the red blood cells carry the oxygen, you get symptoms that are associated with low oxygen. And so the labored breathing, and after a certain time, because they're trying to always compensate, you find that they have that barrel chest, we call it, where the chest is high. You may also have other signs of different organ failures. So you may have heart problems, heart conditions, kidneys, any of your different organs, or you can end up with a stroke because the number of blood cells may block a certain area.
Okay. We have a caller. Good morning,
caller.
I'm blessed in the God. Good morning to you and yours.
Good morning to you, my friend.
Everything is okay in Dominica.
Yes, thanks.
Very interesting program. I heard the lady mention something just now. I have sickle cell trait, and I was deprived of insurance. That I am so sad today now that I would need the insurance. I don't have it because I had sickle cell trait, and they said that I wasn't eligible to have insurance, and I'm nearly 60.
So she has the trait and she's nearly 60.
Yes.
So you are right in saying that sicklers do live a normal life. I just want to give out the numbers for anybody who wants to call. If you have any questions for our guests, the numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, or you can call on the overseas line at 305-432-9624. Another question for you. How can the sickle cell disease be prevented? Can it be prevented? I mean, I know
a
it's genetic. I know it's
genetic.
genetic, but is there a way? Is there something that you can do to prevent any of the flare-ups or anything that can
symptoms
happen?
you're talking
Yeah.
about. Right. So we can prevent, like Kellen was saying earlier, to have a healthy lifestyle. You have your proper diet to ensure that your your red blood cells levels are always at a good level.
And what should your diet consist of? More so with somebody who has sickle cell, because I mean, you're talking about the blood. Can you eat a lot of green leafy vegetables? Because I know sometimes some of them do cause clotting.
1 second. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Morning
Good
to you.
morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
All right.
Very interesting program.
Thank you.
The young lady with you all, is she part of a club or?
Well, we have two people here. We have a nurse who is part of the Sickle Cell Foundation, and we have the president who is from the Sickle Cell Foundation as well.
Okay. I'm calling to maybe more pose a question.
Yes, of course.
Go ahead.
I'm a mother. I have 2 sicklers.
Yes.
I had 3 in my 4 children. One, the boy passed away. But she mentioned strokes, right?
Yes.
And in dealing with it, and have a lot of experience with things. I'm not a member of any club or anything like that. But with my experience, my son, when he turned 5, he started getting strokes. No, not knowing they had him on Penv, right?
Yes.
Penv, which is an antibiotic daily, right? This was the reason why he was getting the strokes, because from my knowledge and reading about the disease, when you're from the age of 2, you're not supposed to take the Penv, and there he was taking it from like the age of 2 towards, he died when he was 8, and he was still taking the Penv. So I want them to do a little more research on the Penv with sicklers, because I have my 2 daughters who are sicklers. One is 20 and one is turning 18 soon. And not even the folic acid I give them like daily, right? And if I don't tell you they're sicklers, it's just managing the disease.
But then in reference to the Penv, because as a pharmacist, I know we still use Penv as prophylaxis, but
when it's needed, I'm not saying it shouldn't be used.
Okay.
But not as a daily, like you taking your pressure tablets like as a daily thing.
But I wanted to ask you though, in terms of that information that you've now disseminated, that research or the newer up-to-date research is saying that the use of Penv is not necessary after a child has passed 2. Can you share? I mean, can you disseminate or tell us where you got that information from? If it's on a site too.
I cannot recall where I read it, but even from a doctor too, I discovered that. I don't want to disclose any doctor.
That's fine.
But to me, it's true, because the 2 daughters, my 2 daughters, they were giving them the Penv in liquid form as soon as they discovered, and it's like they were being admitted at the hospital very often. And after I realized what happened when my son passed away, because when my son passed away, I had she was 3, my first daughter, who is 20 now. She was 3 years when her brother died, right? And it was due to a transfusion. They said they were doing.
You got a crisis.
No, there was no crisis. It's a long. You all will not have time if I have to go into details, right? And I stopped it on my own. I decided I'm not allowing them to take any Penv, and I have seen better improvement with they not taking the Penv than they taking it. Right? That's why I have decided, as a parent with sicklers, I take my decisions whether I allow them to take the medication or not.
I think I really understand your struggle as a parent of 4 kids with sickle cell disease. Can I ask you what medications they're currently on?
Well, they're supposed to be on the
folic acid.
Folic acid. But I let them do it occasionally, like maybe just before the period or after, because I had 4 children. My last out of the 4 doesn't have any trait or anything.
That's wonderful.
But the 3 of my first 3, all 3, because my first was from my first relationship, and my husband, the guy I got married to, ended up having a trait.
Right.
That is why the other 2 got it.
Okay, so from my understanding of the PenV, it is given to young sickle cell patients as a precautionary measure to help boost their immune system and prevent sepsis and other illnesses.
But it's an antibiotic. Antibiotic, does it boost your system? It's supposed
It
to prevent
infection, right? Yes.
And antibiotic not supposed to be taken more than 7 days. Why take it as a lifetime to prevent what's not there?
Okay, well that is definitely dependent on the type of antibiotic. I know there are different types, but can I encourage you to speak to your doctor about hydroxyurea medication for your kids? Because what it does, it increases the fetal hemoglobin in the bloodstream and decreases the amount of sickle hemoglobin available, and it causes patients to be less likely to get crisis and other symptoms such as stroke, silent strokes and stuff. So it's definitely something that I
go into crisis unless because the 18-year-old, she had a crisis recently. It's because she went to the river, and I don't allow them to the river. But she ended up going to the river with her friends. I mean, it's a teenager. And after that, she got into a crisis with pain, because I've tried it for myself, that taking them to the river because of the coldness. So it's like for years I have not been allowing them to go to the river.
Okay.
Because of the coldness, that's when they get into a crisis. But to say just stay like that and get sick, like how they were on the PenV.
Okay,
It's a totally different
Ma'am.
experience.
I just want to let the listeners know, because it's difficult to be having children with sickle cell, and a lot of people are listening to the fact that PenV is bad might cause persons to now start thinking, okay, I'm not going to take the medication that the doctor has recommended because it might cause my child to get into a crisis. But we need to understand that every child is different and every circumstance is different. And a lot of us do not take the time off to speak to our doctors, and we need to have that conversation with our doctors to find out what is best for me at that particular time. So stopping all medication because of some research that you've done, it would have been better that you discuss it with your doctor to find out why exactly am I supposed to be taking that medication, and how best can we work together for the better to make my child healthier.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't think that what she was saying was that the PenV was bad, because she did say, I don't think that, I'm not saying that they should not use it, but maybe not for an extended period of time. And as a parent, as you said, it can be very difficult. So while the child is young and the child cannot pay attention or doesn't know the signs or symptoms, the mother has to then pay attention to this. And if she is actually seeing that there's a difference, then I do agree with you that she should have spoken to the doctor. But I want to say that what she said was that it wasn't, but she didn't say it was bad. She just said that she noticed a difference when she took her children off of it. And like you said, everybody will have a different experience, because no one of you have the same traits, no one of you may have the same symptoms, but she's noticed a difference since having lost a child.
And that is commendable, because a lot of times we don't notice,
and a lot of times
we don't
people
pay
don't
attention.
speak up either.
Right.
And so I loved her contribution, and Paula, thank you.
I did. I was not saying that she said that it was bad. I'm just saying that I don't want people to understand that that is what she's saying. I know that's not what she said.
Okay.
Because I also wanted to contribute to that again, it's the assessment varies from one client or patient to the other, and sometimes we have to also take into consideration the risk versus the benefits. In penicillin usage as a prophylaxis, it's usually used to prevent complications, particularly sepsis, infections of the lungs, of the, you know.
What, for people who don't know, what is a prophylaxis?
It's almost like let me see if I can explain it. It's almost like a preventative measure that, to prevent a crisis or to prevent something from occurring. So it's like you just ensuring that the body system, the immune system is protected, particularly when they're very young. They're susceptible to opportunistic infections as well. They're very, you might tell your child, don't do this, and then you are not around your child 24/7. And your child would be at school, your child will be with other groups, and your child may engage in certain things that would cause or could cause, a crisis, or could cause, some major upset in the system. So I think from what I think the nurse and I would agree that a more concretized communication must be established between the patient, the caregiver, and the healthcare provider. That is very, very important. That's very important. And I do believe that if you have a doctor and you feel that that particular doctor is not giving you enough information, there are other doctors and another doctor that you can always go to and find out. One of the things that we really want to prevent as well is from people relying on non-medical professionals to give them information. And you must remember too that the internet has so much information from all sources, and so not everything that you read on the internet is scientifically proven. And so that's why sometimes it's, so if you read something and it wasn't from a credible, certified, accredited body, whether it's the American Association of Pediatrics or some, American Journal of Medicine, something of that accreditation, but you might just read something on the internet and say, well, that is factual. So we want to be cautious with those types of disclaimers. I've had people as a pharmacist come to me reading something because of a symptom they have and thinking they have cancer, or thinking they have a real dreadful disease. And without doing any tests, just because of what they've read. And so we want to make sure that people are aware of those things.
We have another caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I have a question.
Sure.
I have sickle cell trait.
Yes.
And a lot of members of my extended family has the trait or the anemic. And my brother has a trait, and his girlfriend, after she got pregnant, she found out that she has a trait that's out of state. So she was advised that she should probably abort the baby because the baby will definitely have be anemic. But she didn't. But when the baby born, he only had a trait. So my question was, if two partners have the trait, is it how should I say that?
Will you have a full blown?
That the baby would have a trait or full blown? Because from what I've learned, if both partners have the trait, then the child will have to be anemic. But for my brother's case, I wasn't so.
Okay. With sickle cell, you have a 50-50 chance. So there's a possibility that a child from two persons with a trait can be born without sickle cell, without even having a trait for sickle cell. But there's also the chance that the child can be born with full-blown sickle cell or with just a trait. Because based on the genetics, how the genes are passed down, you can or cannot pass down the genes for sickle cell. It's a 50-50 chance.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it also speaks of, when you listen to the arguments and the explanation about sickle cell, I think it gives credence to the uniqueness of God, how He creates us. That because I've known of families where the first child had absolutely no sickle cell, the second child ended up having sickle cell, and they're from the same mother and father.
Yeah, well, it all boils down to the uniqueness of God. It really does. It really does. And that can be extended to even doctors who are accredited. They practice medicine, but God is the only healer. I'm definitely an advocate of that. So, just another question. What other drugs can be taken? You mentioned this hydroxyurea. There was this
folic acid.
Okay, folic acid is given to increase your hemoglobin levels, your iron levels. If you are what they call as a critical patient, which means you have a higher possibility of crisis, the medical health professionals usually recommend hydroxyurea. It's a medication that is used to increase the fetal hemoglobin in the bloodstream, as opposed to, and decreases the sickle cell hemoglobin levels.
So in layman's terms, what would that do for a patient with?
So when a woman is pregnant and they're a newborn, there's a 6-month window where the child has what you call fetal hemoglobin, which it's like the purest form of hemoglobin. So it's very rich in iron, and it causes the red blood cells to be normally shaped and can uptake as much oxygen as possible. So healthy cells, it promotes healthy cells. But that only lasts for a period of 6 months, and then the child's genetic bone marrow would take up and start producing sickle cell hemoglobin, which would affect the child's shape of her red blood cells and affect the child's manifestation of the sickle cell disease. So with this medication, it kind of mimics your first 6 months of life. So it increases your ability to promote healthy cells in your body and decreases your likelihood of crisis and other complications from sickle cell. But I always tell persons it's something that they should speak to the doctor about, because I always encourage persons to have a communication with their healthcare provider. As a chronic patient, it's not just treating an acute symptom, it's long term. So I encourage discussions. Even if you read something, go and speak to your doctor and be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Do you think we should try this? I would like to try this because I think it'll make me feel better, etc., etc., etc. So that's what I encourage.
Okay.
Yes? No.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Carlton, and good morning to Pearl.
Good morning, my friend.
Yes, I'm listening to the young lady that called, and she said she lost her son, and 2 of her daughters is suffering from that same ailment, which is sickle cell. I mean, it really hurts me to see that this day and time, when 2016, and individuals still suffering with that, and there is help that they can get. Because I'm telling you, speaking for myself, I helped a Jamaican young woman up in New York that's suffering from sickle cell. For years she's been suffering from sickle cell anemia, and until I introduced her to some natural supplement. And since that day, which was about last year, recently, she's been calling me as soon as she finished. Listen, she needs more, because the woman was consistently in pain and bedridden, and in and out of the hospital. And that's from that same doctor that I got the supplement for. He used to be in Dominica. Now he's deceased, which rumors have it that the powers may be eliminating because of the medicine, because the cure for disease and all kind of ailment he had for people. That's Dr. Sabi. He lived right in Point Michelle, and at that time Miss Charleston, the doctors had him out of the island because he was helping people. And to the people in the Nature Island, if your child is suffering from that ailment, sickle cell, the child's or the individual body's iron deficiency. In Dominica, we have Zuti and Mezemawi. Those are natural herbs that contain iron. Just do that for your child and for yourself morning, afternoon, and night, because I drink it every day myself. Every time I come from Dominica, I bring that up. I don't have sickle cell, but because of the way I work, I have to take those things to replace iron in my body. And they have stuff online. It will help you, and abstain from drinking that chlorinated water, drink the natural spring water. It's sad to see how she lost her son and her 2 daughters. This woman may be, hurting for years. So I'm just giving an advice. If she want to help her children, get the Maui Zen, Mezemawi herbs and Zuti. Dry it and make tea for your children. This herb is full of iron, and it's natural herbs because the air that we breathe comes from the plants. Herbs don't really harm the body. You understand?
Thank you.
So,
Carl.
and if she really want the stuff also, Matt and I are very close. Matter of fact, Matt's father is my godfather. Get in contact with Matt. I could send them some of the supplements.
Okay. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly,
Just a quick question though. What's your take on using herbs and alternative supplements?
I understand that we have herbs that can be helpful. The problem with that is that we have no dosage for what herbs we need to take, and not everything is for everybody. So just going ahead and taking herbs to deal with your medical issue is unadvisable, because you do not know what you are taking and how much of it you are taking.
I actually was going to ask Kelly, as a patient, whether she ever tried, natural medicines, and if it, what's her take, on the.
I do support naturopathic medicine. However, as a scientist and a researcher, I understand that with any medication, whether it be pharmaceutical or herbal, the optimal level is difficult to the optimal level for
it's difficult to judge.
To judge, right? So, I've had circumstances where people have tried herbal medicine, it'll work for them, but then soon it becomes toxic and it causes further complications for them. Or pharmaceutical medicine, if it's not monitored properly, whether it's by your pharmacist or by your doctor, then it causes negative effects towards you and your body. I do believe that medicine is not just seeking pharmaceutical treatment. It's a whole, I believe in medicine as a whole entity, a holistic entity. So I definitely would encourage, like I said, I encourage people to have conversations with the medical health professional.
Now, I do have a question though. What is being cold do to somebody with sickle cell?
It causes pain in your joints.
Okay.
Initially.
Okay. And can it lead to a crisis?
It can if it's not.
Okay.
If it's the drastic changes in temperature causes the body to be under undue stress, which causes crisis.
Okay. And can the heat have the same kind of reaction? If
the
it's
heat,
too hot?
If it's too hot, then the heat can have a similar effect, because if it's too hot, you get dehydrated quickly, and if you don't rehydrate as quickly, then it becomes an issue for you.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to comment briefly though on the alternative medicine path. One, the condition is a chronic one. Two, it's hereditary. And those are not myths, those are factual. Two, free the probability. I think if we were to do a census as to how quantifiable is using herbal medications versus synthetic medications for curing or cessation or reduction in crisis, we would recognize that more people have had fewer. So the control of crisis has been more beneficial or more prevalent using synthetic medications. I've always said to people that yes, it's true that we do talk about alternative medicines. They do have their role to play, but when crisis hits us and we get into the ER, it's synthetic medications that often are used to help us and to help us to recover. And so I do believe that it would not be prudent of me to advocate to any client that to just immediately cease your treatment regimen that you are on now and go on to an alternative path. You must remember that your body system is very fragile, particularly if you are a sickler, and so predisposing yourself to measures that are not to levels of active ingredients in those herbs that are not quantified, they are not measured, can predispose you to further complications. And so we want to say that to everybody, they may have an opinion, they may have a different point of view, but at the same time, for as a medical person, I would say that the better thing to do would be to have that communication and dialogue with your healthcare provider, and to know your body too.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree with you on that. I think the most important thing coming out of this discussion is having the conversation with your doctor. So even if you do decide to go to approach your healing or your preventative measures in a holistic way with both synthetic medication and herbal medication, the ideal thing to do would be to speak to your doctor. And I think that's the biggest point coming out of here today. And also eating healthy, staying hydrated, and you know, making sure that you understand and you listen to your body, because everybody has different traits and everyone reacts differently to the environment. And so we are way past the time.
I know we're way past time, but I just wanted Kaylin to just say quickly about support for the foundation. You want to give your contact for people who need that support, like the lady who called. It would be great for her to join the association. Give her, you know, I think Dominic has a great cancer society, the Alzheimer's Society, there is the Lupus Society, and so I think people who are suffering, or you know members of your family or friends that has that disease, to be part of the association, and want to lend your support. So if you want to just let people know, you have a website and all of that.
Yes, so we are the Sickle Cell Cares Foundation. You can find us at www.sicklecellcares.org. If you want to send, you can go on there and there's forms to contact us. If you want to, there's frequently asked questions, there's a little bit of information about sickle cell disease as well. There's also a Facebook page. So you can just search for the name, which is the Sickle Cell Cares Foundation in Dominica. And if persons want to get in contact, can give me a call, 295-4277. They can send us an email at info@sicklecellcares.org. And usually if you go send us a message on Facebook, somebody responds to you within like 5 minutes.
Wow.
If you have a complicated question that one of the volunteers cannot answer, then they would get in contact with me and be like, you need to get in contact with this person, or go on this page to answer this person's question if they want more specific information. We are encouraging everybody affected with sickle cell to register with us so that we can have our database of sicklers in Dominica, develop our database of sicklers in Dominica, and that we can better develop programs to help better their lives and their lifestyle.
Just a quick question. I just received a text message. Is there a vaccine for sicklers?
No.
Okay.
The only the cure for sickle cell is a bone marrow transplant. And with that, it's very rare because you usually have to have a match, which is a close relative, which is usually a sibling. And often families who have a firstborn child with sickle cell do not often have other children because of that disease. It's like a sort of a family planning measure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's quite difficult for you to find a match, and then even if you find a match, then you know who knows if your body is going to accept or reject the transplant. So it's very a rare treatment, and it's very costly. It's not available in Dominica, definitely, and it's something that it needs to be closely monitored by health professionals.
Well, Carol and nurse, we are so happy to have had you guys in this rainy weather to be talking on sickle cell. We definitely will be supporting the cause. I will get your information that we can put on the Jolly's Facebook page.
Definitely.
For our viewers, the users of the page to know that there is support for sickle cell. No longer should you feel alone and suffer in silence. You can get that support
and dialogue would need to be had between all of the foundation members and people suffering with sickle cell.
Definitely. So we are new. We only got established in 2013. So it's a work in progress, but we're getting there, and hopefully we can reach all the people we need to reach. Very
So we
soon.
want to thank you both for being here today. I'm Pearl Fontaine Butler.
Carlton, stay safe during this weather. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Health Vibes. You were listening to Health Vibes, a production of Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.